So I got into corrections in, I think it was the end of 2013, early 2014 I started, went to the police college for my training, and I was being sent off to Windsor. At the time it was the old Windsor jail. That's where I worked, and I started March 10th of 2014. The atmosphere in the Windsor institution at the time when I got there was, it's difficult to tell that it was corrupt right up front. I would say that it was good for me the first couple months. I was a positive officer that was just trying to get along, fit in with the guys, get to know people. It was a predominantly Caucasian environment. There was absolutely no diversity. There's nothing that the ministry talks about inclusivity, but you don't see it. There was maybe 80, 90 officers in a very small facility, approximately 3 colored officers in that whole facility.
How many colored inmates?
50%. 50 or 60%.
How did you notice that the inmates of color were treated?
I noticed that the inmates of color were treated what I would describe as, there was hatred, there was a lot of kind of like reprisals. They were treated very differently in my opinion. And when I say this, I'm not saying this lightly because it is a very big allegation. And I'm not saying that the whole facility, every single white officer or black officer was treating all of these minority inmates this way. But what I can say is that a large portion of officers, whether because they were not realizing that they're being biased or whether they had racial motivations, were treating these individuals very differently than they were treating white inmates. Everything from certain nicknames, from hearing people calling black inmates jigaboos, from hearing racial slurs towards black inmates, and then hearing people in the lunchroom talking about the racial slurs and saying, well, this inmate is alleging that the officer called him the N-word while he was using force. And a bunch of other white officers are saying, well, yeah, did that happen? Everybody in the room's like, well, yeah, I did, but so what? Right, so you're hearing this stuff over and over. So, I mean, I've never seen it where there was any kind of racial slurs towards white inmates in a use of force, but it was always racial slurs towards black inmates in a use of force by these specific officers. It wasn't the whole facility, but it was these specific officers. But what I did notice is what we call the code of silence, everybody remaining silent. They would all see it, they would all hear about it, they know it exists, but nobody reports it. In regards to some of the racially motivated acts that I've seen officers commit, like I mentioned, racial slurs towards inmates, nicknames towards inmates, the type of attitude they had, the type of punishment would be completely different oftentimes towards some of the young black inmates versus somebody else. They'd give one person a break, but they'd be completely harsh with another person. I'd also see some types of like, almost kind of like a revenge or getting reprisal back on somebody because they put in a blue letter, which is an ombudsman report. I'd see things and hear about things, because not everything you're seeing, but you're hearing. And there's a good chance that if you're hearing it over and over and over, this stuff is happening when you're hearing it from your own team. And you're hearing that the blue letters are being shredded. You're seeing the management are laughing about the stuff, about these human rights violations. You're seeing an entire unit of not even black inmates, but all types of different white, Portuguese, whatever it may be, inmates are putting in a complaint, a petition on a unit, on a specific unit about an officer that is racially abusing a black inmate on that unit. And there's no investigation whatsoever.